害他了呀，你明白不？你不要以为你偷偷摸摸给他100、200、300、500、1万、2万是在帮他呀，你在害他呀，你让他心越陷越深呐，你用自己辛辛苦苦的钱，然后去还一个赌博的账，你辛辛苦苦30年，他为这个家，你老公为这个家不是也辛辛苦苦30年吗？
A wife mortgaged her own home in order to borrow money for her younger brother, and this shattered a marriage that had been peaceful for more than 30 years. Faced with a husband who insisted on divorce, what would she do? Haixia and Jin Ming had been married for more than 30 years and had a daughter. Their family had once been happy and complete. But now their relationship had run into a major crisis, and it had even reached the point of divorce. The reason things had become like this was all because of Haixia's biological younger brother. Although Haixia was already married, as the eldest daughter in her family, she had always taken very good care of her 3 younger brothers in daily life, and she was especially responsive to every request from her youngest brother Haixia. As for his wife's favoritism toward her own family, her husband, Jin Ming, could more or less understand it, and he did not say much about it. But as time went on, Haixia's behavior became more and more excessive, and it had even gone beyond the limits of helping family. Now it had already begun to affect their normal life. Jin Ming previously had a housing unit assigned by his work unit. Later, when their daughter got married, they gave that home to their daughter to use as her marital home. The couple took out all the savings they had accumulated over many years and bought a new home. Although they still had to pay a mortgage every month, life was still fairly good. That was until Haixia's youngest brother came to their door and said that he wanted to borrow a sum of money from his older sister. When it came to this matter, Haixia agreed without even thinking. But who could have expected that the moment Haixia opened his mouth, he asked to borrow 300,000 yuan. This amount was beyond Jin Ming's ability, so he refused Haixia, but Haixia privately said that she would help her younger brother raise the money. But what could she do when she had no money? Haixia thought it over and over, and she discovered that the only way was to mortgage the home under her name. So, without discussing it with her husband, she mortgaged the house and handed the money over to her younger brother. From that moment on, the rhythm of the whole family's life was completely thrown into chaos, and the conflicts between husband and wife also became more and more serious. This woman had been married for more than 30 years and had always been secretly giving her younger brother financial help. Now, for the sake of her younger brother, she had even gone so far as to mortgage property jointly owned by her and her husband. With their marriage already on the verge of collapse, how would the two of them deal with this matter? Now that the house had been mortgaged, the only way to keep their home was to work hard and earn money. But because Jin Ming had suffered an accident, he could not walk normally with his leg, and he could only live on his monthly pension. Haixia, who had pushed this family into the fire pit, gave up the comfortable life she used to have and began working outside as a cleaner, trying to fill the monthly gap in the loan payments. For this reason, she lived very frugally, but even so, the money she earned was still not enough to fill the huge financial hole. But even at this time, Haixia still had not let go of her concern for her younger brother. When Haixia came again to borrow money, she truly could not come up with any more, so she borrowed 50,000 yuan from her father-in-law. After learning that her younger brother still did not have enough, she secretly borrowed another 20,000 yuan from her father-in-law's younger sister without telling the family. Because this 20,000 yuan was never repaid, the other party had no choice but to tell Haixia's father-in-law about it. Only then did the whole family find out what Haixia had been hiding from them. The embarrassed old man could only pay the money out of his own pocket and repay the debts for Haixia. Trapped in a situation of utter desperation, Haixia was filling the holes created by her younger brother while also trying to find ways to repay the bank loan. After she truly could not come up with any money, she took her husband's bank card and withdrew all the money from it. Haixia's actions had already completely disrupted the peaceful life of the whole family. But she still stubbornly continued helping her younger brother, and in her eyes, the many warnings from her husband and daughter were all nonsense, with no real meaning at all. Most importantly, even now, Haixia still did not feel that she had done anything wrong. She believed that what she had done had not hurt her family and had not interfered with their lives. All of the debt was being carried by her alone. Even now, when Jin Ming wanted to give up this marriage that had lasted for more than 30 years, Haixia still had no regrets. It was just that, why exactly had her younger brother, Haixia, kept coming to borrow money from his older sister? After borrowing so much money, where had he actually spent it?
害他了呀，你明白不？你不要以为你偷偷摸摸给他100、200、300、500、1万、2万是在帮他呀，你是在害他呀。你让他心越陷越深呐，你用自己辛辛苦苦的钱，然后去还一个赌博的账。你辛辛苦苦30年，他为这个家，你老公为了家不是也辛辛苦苦30年吗？
In order to help her younger brother repay gambling debts, this woman did not hesitate to mortgage her house and lose the family's savings. Because of this, she fell out with her husband and daughter, and their relationships broke apart. As the younger brother at the center of all this conflict, could he step forward and take responsibility? Haixia's daughter, Jin Ming, did not have a good relationship with her mother. Ever since she was young, there had been many arguments in the family because of her maternal uncle. It was not that she had never tried to persuade her mother, but it had never done any good at all. The relationship between mother and daughter also became worse and worse because of her uncle, and her mother did not even attend her wedding day. Now Haixia's life had become extremely miserable, but in Jin Ming's view, her mother had brought it all upon herself. So, as the younger brother, what exactly was the reason that Haixia had fallen into such huge debt? In order to save his older sister's marriage, Haixia, who had been unwilling to show himself all along, came to Jin Ming's home. The moment he appeared, he gave a sincere apology to the two people inside the house. And the reason he had accumulated so many debts over the years was not because his business had failed, but because he had become addicted to gambling and could not pull himself out, causing him to sink deeper and deeper until he owed enormous gambling debts. At the gambling tables, Haixia spent money in large amounts, yet deep down, he did not feel the slightest worry. Because he knew that no matter how much money he owed, his older sister, Haixia, would always carry it for him. It was just that he had never intended to destroy his older sister's marriage. Now that things had developed to this point, he also felt very regretful. After learning that her younger brother had borrowed money in order to repay gambling debts, Haixia, who was sitting to one side, was stunned. At that moment, she no longer knew whether all the effort she had put in over the years had been worth it. And Haixia had harmed far more than just her. The other two brothers in the Hai family had also frequently lent him money, which caused constant conflict in their own families, and now they were also facing the risk of divorce. But even after things had reached this point, Haixia still firmly believed that she had done nothing wrong. She had spent more than 30 years giving to this family, and now all she had done was lend the money she earned to her younger brother. Yet the whole family had made such a huge scene to criticize her, and that truly should not have happened. Her way of thinking could only persuade herself. It could not move anyone else. With just a few words, the mediator made Haixia realize the mistake she had made. If there had not been all the spending caused by her younger brother constantly borrowing money, the couple's life right now would have been very comfortable. What Haixia believed was help had instead led to even more reckless behavior from her younger brother. Everything she had done had also repeatedly hurt the daughter and husband who truly cared about her, casting the shadow of debt over the family. Feelings of guilt and regret spread through her heart, and she sat on the sofa and burst into tears. Fortunately, Jin Ming did not truly want to divorce Haixia. He only wanted to live a peaceful life in his later years. In order to preserve his older sister's marriage, Haixia said that from now on, he would never again ask Haixia for money, and that he would also find a way to repay the money he had owed in the past. We have no way of knowing how much truth there was in Haixia's words, but his promise and Haixia's remorse still made Jin Ming let go of his resentment toward his wife, and he decided to continue walking through the rest of life with her.
There was nothing wrong with an older sister helping her younger brother, but everything has a limit. Endless support can only harm both others and yourself. And in the end, it can only drag you into the mud until you cannot pull yourself out. Haixia thought she was protecting her younger brother, but in reality, she was enabling his gambling while tearing her own family apart little by little. Sometimes love means support, but sometimes love also means learning to say no. If it were you, what would you do? Would you help your siblings no matter what? Or would you protect your own family first? Let me know what you think in the comments, and see you next time.